fit, formidable, and fantastic.
Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy and welcome to a new episode. I'm doing this as a sort of a follow-up to my previous video on why I would take steroids. And that video had a very specific caveat that I addressed. And I will link that video in the description for your convenience. I feel this video is necessary for clarification, education, and a restatement of my mission and values. Now, I know it isn't my fault,
but people jump to conclusions based on the title alone of my last video without even admittedly watching it, while others simply feel wary about considering me natural.
And I understand that latter sentiment. I mean, I really do, especially given the obvious and blatant liars in the fitness industry merely trying to make a buck off the unaware. And Vegan Gains has done a fantastic job exposing these frauds, so there's no need for me to retread that road. Now on to the topic at hand. I made it clear in my previous video on the matter, or so I assumed, that I would only, and I stress only, take steroids for the purpose of health improvement. And that would likely mean only testosterone, and under the guidance of a medical doctor. In other words, to combat the natural decline in my hormones to values below healthy range, and only if that becomes the case. At the moment, that is not the case. At the moment, I am doing perfectly fine. Thus, at the moment, there is no need for exogenous assistance, and I am still, in fact, drug-free. When and if the time eventually comes, I will openly admit to my legal use. I stress that, legal use. And it won't exceed the healthful, normal range required under a therapeutic dosage. Now, one of the reasons I created this channel was to provide honest, evidence-driven advice for vegans interested in fitness and nutrition, with a primary focus on physique improvement, obviously, without the use of drugs. In an industry saturated with dubious personalities, lies, and manipulations, I wanted to be a safe haven, if you will. One that vegans could trust, one that anyone could trust, and I like to help people, and lying does a disservice. I wanted to show what a vegan can do with the right combination of hard work, diet, sleep, and yes, my own unique genetic factors. And that includes both my strengths and my limitations. And while I do have a vegan business in the planning stages, as I've mentioned before, it will specifically be focused on the drug-free vegan market. And I will provide a link in the description below where you can sign up for information on what I will be offering as it becomes available. Anyhow, let's get into another reason why I won't use steroids. I simply don't see enough reward in relation to the inherent risks. I want to avoid the repercussions, specifically the shutdown of my natural hormone production, especially if I may never get it back again.
And this is a legitimate concern, as one recent study demonstrated that prior anabolic use was a common factor in young men seeking treatment for hypogonadism.
And I simply cannot be fucked dealing with everything that it entails, like the post-cycle therapies, the expense, etc. And even then, is it guaranteed to jumpstart me back to proper health? Now, I'm not an expert, but I have my doubts and concerns about this. So when you play with fire, there is always a chance you're going to get burned, especially if you decide to play with fire often. I would just rather stick to diet and training, which can be tedious, complex, and time-consuming enough as it is. Why complicate shit further when I really have no reason to do it? I don't even compete. Anyway, for my goals, it simply makes no sense. Besides, once you get off the gear, you'd better think twice about keeping that unnatural level of size. You're going to shrink eventually. Just seems like a lot of money and time and energy spent for something that your body is not designed to naturally maintain. Furthermore, due to a traumatic early childhood medical event, I suffer from lingering trypanophobia, or a fear of needles. It's getting better than it was, especially in my youth, but I am far from cured. Now, knives, swords, pins, and even sewing needles, they don't have any effect on me. But the combination of a medical needle and a syringe, yeah, no thanks. So it really seems to be about context, not just sharp objects. Thus, injecting is the last thing that I would want to consider, unless I absolutely have to for my quality of life or health. Much in the same regard as when I have to push myself to get routine blood work during yearly physicals. I don't like it, but it's for my health. Gearing up for size or definition is not for my health. And orals have more horrific health consequences, like but not limited to hepatotoxicity, also known as liver toxicity. And one example would be the potent designer oral steroid Superdrol, or methasterone by its drug name, which is now banned here in the US, but was once sold as an over-the-counter supplement prior to the August 2012 initiation of the ban. That is.
Which has documented cases of liver damage from its use.
And even the popular Dianabol, or methandrosterone, by its drug name, that is, which is the oral that Arnold was said to have used in his heyday along with injectable Primo.
Dianabol has documented cases of liver toxicity and even death.
And granted, guys like Arnold, Zane, and Columbu are still alive despite their respective usages and days of yore. So I understand that death or even liver damage is not guaranteed to occur, but I still do not see the value in risking my health. And that's not even getting into other serious health risks like
significantly raising your LDL cholesterol levels while significantly lowering your HDL. Or negative impacts on the health of your heart, like increases in left ventricular wall thickness and cavity dimensions.
And then there's the less serious, but nonetheless undesirable risks,
like developing breast tissue, hair loss, and shrunken balls.
And I'm just scratching the surface. There's also popular drugs like growth hormone and insulin, which are both commonly abused for physique enhancement, and also come with their own, sometimes worse, side effects.
Like insulin resistance with the use of growth hormone. Or the enlargement of fingers, bones, organs, etc., also due to prolonged growth hormone abuse. Recreational growth hormone use may also increase your cancer risk. And insulin has its own laundry list of sides, including hypoglycemia. And its recreational use is potentially life-threatening, with documented cases.
So you want an infamous professional example of what anabolic abuse can cause?
Moreover, how far it can go. Meet the now-deceased Greg Kovacs, who got up to a whopping 330 pounds contest weight at 6'4", died of heart failure in 2013. Anabolic abuse not only very likely caused his death, but literally deformed his body.
Now granted, I am no doctor, and I'm clearly no expert on steroids or other PEDs. Perhaps my fears are a little bit exaggerated, out of my own ignorance. I don't know. I am sure genetic predispositions play a factor in the outcomes, and there are certainly users who will disagree with me on this matter and claim that these problems only occur through abuse, but nonetheless, I don't want to assume the risk, abuse or not, and that really is my choice. I mean, why tempt fate when my goals don't require it? And couldn't it be considered abuse on some level to use a drug for recreational purposes when you don't medically need it? So I would say that the word abuse is actually very relative. And I'm happy with my results that I've received naturally, and I don't desire to be a freak, so to speak. I also value my health over looking pretty. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not criticizing those who make the choice to use for their own bodies and goals. It just isn't worth it to me for my goals, and I don't recommend it, nor do I promote it to you, my viewers. I want you all to be fit, formidable, and fantastic, naturally so.
Not so freakish as you need to engage in activities like wiping your ass with bath towels, like the aforementioned Greg Kovacs was reported to have done by his contemporary, Nasser El-Sanbati.
And that's really about it, or basically so. Certainly feel free to comment below with your thoughts or where you desire clarifications, or even your disagreements. And as always, if you enjoy my content, please like and share and subscribe. Otherwise, till next time, my friends.